Satan is after your children. So I just want to talk about this, guys. You see, nowadays, guys, you gotta realize a lot of the stuff that's being pushed in the mainstream media that a lot of young people are seeing, that a lot of young people are consuming, especially on social media and what they see on TV. You gotta realize that the enemy is after your children. He's after your kids. Let me tell you something. The enemy, he knows. He knows different tactics to try and use to go at many kids nowadays. That's why you see many kids now and teenagers nowadays. A lot of them have so many demons inside of them, and half of them did not even reach 16. Like, a lot of them are living fast because the enemy is really going at their mind. He's really trying to torment their soul. He's trying to destroy them before they even become an adult, because we know that kids, especially at a young age, their mind is very impressionable. What I mean by impressionable is they're easily influenced. And what they see on TV, what they see in their environment, is going to influence, can influence their mind and what type of route to go in life, what type of decisions to make. I'll give you an example. If a kid is on social media and they're like 8 or 9 years old, and they see people doing stuff like witchcraft, this new age movement that's going on where people are doing witchcraft, people are doing sage, people are doing crystals and chakras and all these different types of healing, they'll be more influenced to do it. If kids see other kids online talk about how many bodies they got, how many people they slept with, they're going to be influenced to do it a lot of times. That's why the enemy, he's trying to push all these different agendas. That's why the enemy is using, especially a lot of these celebrities and these entertainers. You got so many celebrities and entertainers nowadays, they're so nasty. They're over a rapper about killing people. They're over a rapper about robbing people. You got this drill rap that's happening, where people are rapping about how many ops they kill, how many ops they smoking on. They rap about how many drugs they popped, how many pills they popped, how drunk they were last night, how many women, how many men they slept with. And you have a lot of young people listening to these rappers, and they consuming that type of music. And then when they consume that type of music, a lot of them will be a lot of them will be influenced to go out and do that type of stuff. That's why you got people losing their virginity now at 12 and 13 and 14. And a lot of people are wondering, like, what's happening in society. But you gotta understand that the enemy, he's using all of this stuff. He's pushing off these agendas, all of this stuff in young people's faces to try and get them to go out there and do this type of stuff. Because the enemy, he wants your kids to be bound. He wants your kids to end up being destroyed. He wants your kids to suffer. The enemy doesn't want your kids to grow up to be followers of Christ. He wants them to be destroyed by sin. You got kids nowadays to where they got legions of demons inside of them. I'm seeing news stories of kids commit murder at 11 and 12 and 10 years old. Like, you really know that the times are coming to an, we are really in the end times. And what makes it even worse, you got more agendas being pushed. You got of course, we in June, so we're going to talk about this. A lot of these social media platforms, they're not going to like what I'm about to say, but I'm going to stand on what God says. You got June, you got Pride Month. You got this Pride Month that's going on where people are celebrating homosexuality. People talk about love is love, and it's all right for two men and two women to be together. Listen, guys. The Bible makes it clear that two men and two women is an abomination before God. You see, I don't care what society says. I don't care if people says, oh, ain't nothing is wrong with it. Oh, you're being judgmental. Oh, love is love. Just let them live their life. Oh, you're judging people. Listen, you can say whatever you say, but me, I stand in the word of God, and the Bible makes it clear, Old Testament, New Testament, that God, that is an abomination before God. God does not agree with that lifestyle. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9 through 11 states the sins that lead to hell. Part of that sins is homosexual. It says they will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. Romans 1:26 to 27 states that because they did not retain God in their knowledge, he gave them over to a reprobate mind. Women going after women, men going after men, doing disgusting acts in front of God. Of course, we could use the Old Testament. Exodus, if a man lies with another man, he shall be put to death. There's so many different examples. The book of Jude talk about, I believe, the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah and how they went after strange flesh. Like, we know that lifestyle is not pleasing to God. That lifestyle leads to destruction, leads to hell. So, you have a lot of these agendas being pushed towards a lot of young people nowadays. And you see, if you're a parent coming up, especially if your kids in public school, you gotta really pray over them, because especially in public school, while the public school system is set up, is you have a lot of these agendas that's happening in the public school. You got teachers nowadays trying to force this pride thing on their kids. I remember when I was in high school, towards my senior year, I had a teacher trying to tell us, oh, ain't nothing wrong with being gay. You guys, I'm gonna force you guys to write it in a notebook, and I don't care what anybody got to say, write it in your notebook. Like, they try to force these stuff on kids. They try to force this stuff on teenagers. And now you got a lot of kids nowadays to where they'll go to school, and you have other kids now that a lot of these kids have to watch for. Cause now let's say you got a son or a daughter, you probably got some little kid at school who try to come on to them. Who trying to get them into fornication at such a young age? Who trying to get them to be sexually active at a young age? And if your kid don't want to do that, then all of a sudden these kids want to try and bully your kid and say, "Oh, you lame. Oh, you not one of those real ones. Oh, you were goofy." You know how a lot of these young people talk nowadays. If you don't want to smoke, you don't want to get drunk, they talk about, "Oh, you lame." So not only that these kids see all their stuff on social media, but a lot of time they gotta deal with these peer pressure at these schools by their fellow classmates. A lot of times, if you try to even tell some of these teachers not even willing to help. I remember I have a family member. She got a friend, who lived in the Netherlands, and there was her daughter was struggling, like with sexual sin. Like her daughter wanted to go fornicate. And my mom's friend, like she's a real follower of Christ, so she was not standing for it. I believe the principal or some dean in the school said, "Oh, just let her go do it. Just let her go just fornicate. They're young." I believe there was an incident where I have a little sibling, right? There was an incident to where some little kid tried to kiss her at school, some little boy. And my mom had to go to school and talk to the dean and talk to the after school counselor. Talk to some of the after school teachers, and one of them was like, "Oh, they're kids, they're just experimenting." Experiment for what? They're little kids, they're 11 and 12 and 10 years old. Like, what they experiment for? They need to be focused on school. Like me, when I was in school, I was not even focused on a lot of the stuff these kids is focused on. When I was in elementary school, my main mind was on schoolwork. I didn't even really know about, of course there was a girls that, I used to like get butterflies and I used to have crushes, but I didn't really know what that stuff was. I just know that I was attracted to the opposite sex. I was attracted to the opposite gender. I was a little kid, like 8 and 9 years old, so I didn't really know nothing about it. I just know I was attracted to women. I was attracted to girls. But of course, you grow older, and you realize that's natural. That's what God put in you inside. That's what God put inside of you as a man. But when I was coming up, we were not so focused on relationships. Like I was focused on my school studies. Like I didn't really start to really like a girl until I was getting ready to go into high school. I had my little crushes as a teenager and middle school and all that. I had my crushes in elementary and middle school, but they were just crushes. Ain't nothing serious. I didn't really start to really like a girl like that until like I got into high school. When I really start to develop real feelings about how all this stuff works. And of course, I never fornicated, nothing like that. But you understand what I'm saying. When I became a teenager, I started to understand better of what those feelings are that I used to get when I was a kid, when I used to see a certain girl or a certain woman. But nevertheless, guys, we see the agendas that the enemy is pushing a lot of these kids nowadays. That's why if you got a kid and you a Christian, you a follower of Christ, I really suggest that either get them in a good public school where the structure is strong. It's strictly about school. They're not going to allow no slackness like drugs and alcohol and no fornication and all that. No, because you see, kids nowadays, if they in public school, they got to be mentally strong because it's very easy to fall in temptation. I remember when I was in high school, I used to really I grew up in the structure, especially since I got serious about following God at 16. I was mentally strong. I was able to avoid doing drugs. I had people try to sell me drugs. I had people try to do all that. I remember one time somebody I knew tried to set me up for a threesome. So I know how to resist all of that. And if I could do, I know many of you guys could do, but I know all these young people that their minds are not that mentally strong. And if your child ain't got a mentally strong mind like that, I suggest you put them in a private school, or if you got the money, homeschool them. Because I'm telling you, the influence of public school is not good in many of them. You got kids nowadays smoking, doing weed, vaping at 11 and 12 years old, and a lot of people wonder why some of these young people nowadays got health problems. You got young people who are like 16, 17, 18 in their early 20s, and all of a sudden they got erectile dysfunction. Like, how you guys got erectile dysfunction, you in your early 20s and teenage years? But you see all that stuff you guys watch online, you guys watch some of those pornography movies and all that, and those sexual DVDs, and you wonder why you end up having problems at such a young age. A lot of these young people, they wonder why some of them start having liver problems and kidney problems, and a lot of them start to develop certain type of diseases in their throat and all these type of sicknesses, because look at the stuff you guys are consuming. A lot of you guys are eating drinking all that alcohol, smoking all those different types of drugs, popping all those pills, and you guys wonder why you're so zoned off your mind, why you can't focus. You gotta reevaluate how you live in your life. For a lot of these young kids, a lot of them are peer pressure into living a certain type of way. A lot of them are peer pressure into sin because everybody else in school is doing it, and they don't want to feel like no lame. They don't want to feel like no goofy. So now they want to try and do it to fit in with everybody else, not even knowing that that's how the enemy is catching them, not even knowing that's how demons are entering them. It's sometimes crazy when I watch deliverance services online, and I see pastors casting demons out of little kids, and demons are manifesting. Sometimes they manifest more than the adults. Like, if you got a child, please guard what they do and guard their phone, guard their social media. A lot of these kids should not even be on social media. From when I was growing up, social media was always for 13 plus, but even 13 plus can still be too young. Because a lot of these kids, they can't handle what they see online. Their minds are not mentally strong enough for a lot of them. You gotta take your responsibility as a parent, as an older brother, as an older sister, as an uncle, aunt, whoever you are, family member, friend, whoever, to help guard these little kids and protect their mind, because the agenda is real. The enemy is really trying to destroy them from such a young age. Because the enemy knows if he could catch them from a young age, then they're gonna grow up and most likely follow the same thing. Like, if a kid's doing alcohol and drugs and is sexual or immoral at 11 and 12 years old, then when they become an adult, they're gonna still do it. Or they might even do it even more, if they don't get saved. So the enemy knows what they're doing. He knows what he's doing. He's trying to destroy them from such a young age. And now you have all these kids nowadays, they facing depression problems. You got kids nowadays to where they're so depressed, they do all these alcohol and drugs, they end up feeling depressed afterwards. I often end up crashing out, they end up going to school, getting a gun, shooting the whole school up, or they end up trying to take their own life. Like, the enemy's really the enemy is really destroying a lot of these young people. And a lot of these parents, they're not even spiritual. Parents thinking, my son's just being who he is. Oh, my daughter's just being who she is. Ain't nothing serious. Just let them have their fun. Yeah, you talk about your son and daughter having fun. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, your daughter get pregnant. Then the guy end up leaving her. Yeah, you talk about your son having his fun. Next thing you know, he's sitting in prison. Or he getting some girl pregnant. He got to end up paying child support at 16 or 17. Yeah, you talk about your son having fun. And yet he's sitting in the grave. All because he wants to go join a gang and end up getting killed by ops. End up being killed by rival gang members. A lot of you parents, you guys are just as bad. A lot of y'all not raising your kids. A lot of y'all just allowing your kids to just live however they want. And you not even saying nothing. You allow your son or daughter to do whatever they want. You know your son or daughter is sexually promiscuous at 14 and 15 and 12 years old, and you would not even say nothing. I even heard some kids talk about their parents allow them to date at 12 years old. Like, you was a little kid, you should be focused on school. What you dating at 12 years old for? Like, some of these parents are just as bad. I made a video about this. A lot of these parents, that you guys are not raising your kids. A lot of y'all not raising your kids. You allow your kids to just run a mess, and you guys don't even care nothing about it. You just allow your son or daughter to do. You guys don't want to discipline your kids. It's like you want to be your kid's friend. It's crazy. A lot of y'all need to go and discipline your kids, man. A lot of y'all need to stand up and put your foot down and say, no, enough is enough. Sorry, guys. I was just eating some trail mix. Yeah, a lot of y'all just need to just stand up and tell your kid, no, I will not allow this. Not in my household. But you see, a lot of you parents, especially some of you Christians, you condone sin. All in the name of, oh, thou shalt not judge. Okay, you keep saying thou shalt not judge. You keep condoning sin and see how your judgment's going to be. Because the Bible makes it clear in the book of Romans, I believe 1:28 to 34, that not only those who commit sins like fornication and envy and all those different types of sins, not only will they face eternal death, but also those who take pleasure in it. Take pleasure mean those who support it. So when you support something that God's against and you allow your kids to do and you don't put your foot down, then you're going to face the same judgment that the people you're supporting are doing. So don't think you're going to get away. Nowadays, people just want to always talk about this thou shalt not judge and all this nonsense. No, you're going to face the same judgment. I can understand if you tell your kid or you tell somebody, like, what you're doing is not right, you need to stop, and they still go and do it behind your back, or they still go out and do it. At that point, their butt is not in your hands. But all you parents, you guys just condone whatever your kids do. You just condone whatever they do, and you haven't say nothing about it. You just allow your kids to just run wild. And you end up wondering when they later down the line, when they end up being destroyed by the enemy, and the enemy has a field day with them. Now, all of a sudden, you run and talk about, oh my gosh, I never knew this would happen. What do you mean you never knew this would happen? Your kid was living reckless, you never said nothing about it. A lot of y'all parents are just so crazy, man. I don't know what's wrong with a lot of y'all. Y'all just allow your kids to just do whatever. You guys don't say nothing about it. I don't know. Today's parents not as firm as some of the older parents back in the day. A lot of your parents need to really get right with God and give your life to Christ too, because you guys just allow too much slackness with your kids. A lot of y'all not spiritual, and that's why demons are able to run havoc in so many kids, because a lot of the parents don't even believe in God. A lot of them not even spiritual. Parents believe that everything is a game. Parents believe everything is a joke. Yeah, everything is a joke to the enemy come running at your doorstep, and your kid end up demon possessed. And next thing you know, they can't sleep at night. Next thing you know, they battle intrusive thoughts. Next thing you know, they battle in health problems. Next thing you know, they end up catching an STD or STI or HIV or AIDS. Next thing you know, they sick, or your daughter end up being pregnant by multiple men. Yeah, keep thinking everything is a game. Let's see how far that's going to go. That's what the enemy is destroying so many people today. I know Satan laughs at many people, especially a lot of you parents, because he knows that a lot of you parents are not threats to his kingdom. He knows a lot of you parents just allow your kids to do whatever. A lot of you parents don't even believe in God, or you guys don't even believe that the enemy is real. So that's why the enemy is able to destroy so many people nowadays, especially a lot of young people, because parents not even standing guard. But nevertheless, guys, always guard your kids. Always pray over them. Always ask God's angels to surround them. And ask for God's favor to always be around them. And God's hand of protection to be upon them. Because today, nowadays, being a kid with all this social media, all this stuff that you see, all these agendas being pushed nowadays, it's not easy. A lot of these kids get peer pressure. It's not easy. You always got to pray over your kids and cover them. Because there's so many stuff that they have to avoid. Being a young person as a follower of Christ, especially in this generation, the generations to come, it's not going to be easy because the world is getting more wicked and more evil agendas are being pushed by the enemy. Listen, I'm Gen Z. And even though some of these agendas got pushed in my generation, at least when I was 6, 7, and 8, you didn't see certain stuff get pushed. But all these young people, they coming up at 4, 5, and 6, and they seeing a lot of these stuff being pushed in their face as a baby. And that's why you gotta really know to pray over your child, because a lot of these agendas, it's just straight wickedness. They're trying to destroy your child before they even get a chance to even get to even know God, before they even get a chance to even learn who they are as a person. That's a lot of you guys who are Christians. If, like I said, put your kid in a private school or put them in homeschool, and if you can't find a good public school. But nevertheless, guys, stay prayed up and always cover your kids. Have a blessed day. Take care, alright?